camera is sitting, looking right in front of you.
Yeah.
Or are you gonna? Is that okay there?
Yeah.
Are we okay? Okay. We don't.
I may have to come by here a couple times.
In front of us? Oh, okay.
Just as I set it up.
So
right now.
she can't sit here?
She can. Okay. Yeah. Just letting you know.
Okay. Just want to make sure we're not in your way.
Yeah.
What's your name again? I saw you a couple times. Jezreel. Where did we met? It was another event, but I remember your face. Jezreel. Okay, great. Let us know if you need to move.
back research or
You guys?
Yeah, I was working on a company. I did some research with just like my yeah, kind of from that. And it's like,
Oh, nice. Sorry? Yeah, AI, but like, I guess, leading people. I might really dig back to it, but I want my friends to
the due diligence standards for like all the standards are like the cultural change around due diligence and do cultural how due diligence is at the same time as big. That's probably
a little bit. It seems like I don't like this kind of thing.
I think it's nice to shit. Now there's an answer to and our company I mean, you said like all the
traveled a bit last year for like 2 weeks. It was fine, but the thing is like, I'll take my PTO at some point this year. Yeah, I'll probably just wait until like closer to a raise and once we like done the
let me share a little bit about the agenda, and then what is the AI Socratic? We're a little bit out with the time, but that's fine. Also, yeah. So let me introduce what the AI Socratic is, and then we'll go to the dinner start already started. The Socratic dialogue, so I'll explain what that is. Presentation, it's like demos. And then networking, we are here. You guys have fun, and I don't know how long we'll get in here. But, the manager will be here. Okay, so for who's new to the Azure Rabbit, this is a community of top-tier engineers, research founders. We started in New York because there were a lot of networking events, but all you get a wine, you talk, you chat about ChatGPT and stuff like that. It's just fun, but it's who likes networking events? I hate them. Okay. One say yes. And so 7 people working from NVIDIA, Google, met some of the companies got together. We had dinner, we were talking about research papers, new models, more like the big data rabbit hole stuff. It happened to be people that were in crypto, random, a lot of friends in crypto. Some of the conversation went also to AI, but for the most part it's like AI only. And we're trying to be multidisciplinary, and have conversation about bigger hardware, philosophy, and geopolitics, and a lot of different things. But 80% is AI. Okay. And we continue, and now we're like every month in New York, we have 58 people, and we have these Socratic conversations. We're super selective groups, so everyone is being, the application is being reviewed, so that we're like really high quality, high signal, low noise conversation. My wife always say, make sure that everyone is faster, louder, faster, funnier. We don't have mics going around because Socratic means that there's no all going on. So you just speak louder and faster. Okay, the start is with our, actually the mission, right? We're new here, so our mission is to democratize AI and bring human flourishing by open sourcing and decentralizing AI. And I don't know if it's the right way to say that, but yeah, it's like the middle finger to the 1%. Yes. And what's really important, we're apolitical, trying to stay as objective as possible. We started with a lot of people who were like, China is going to conquer AI. It's like a lot of people in the room are Chinese. It doesn't make sense. A lot of people are like Russian. So it doesn't make sense to start getting into politics. At the end of the day, it's like grassroots. Let's democratize AI. Okay. I'm talking to, so let's start from, we're going to do a round of intro that's I don't want to lose you guys. So
I built that project where you send me today. A lot of research projects where you can train on a project, and everybody has to be based on the awesome work that's on all the strategies and effective learn where everybody's like ready sessions or like activated.
this has to be faster because there's like 60, maybe 8 of us. So
I'm Austin. I'm also working on research at Hackathon Winner.
great. This person.
Oh,
Great. That's it.
From UC Santa Cruz. Good conversations going on tech in Texas. So hear a lot about online, but glad to hear.
Awesome.
Everybody over here, I don't do it anymore. Hi everyone, I'm Amelia. I work in neurotech. My background is in architecture, neural network, architecture, eco, signals in the body, like brain, environmental.
Okay.
Hey everyone, I'm Sunny. I work with GP Infrastructure.
An open data project, putting in open data from the cities and open in the towns. So, interesting guys.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, I'm Lance. I'll be presenting Deep Earth, and it's an AI model for planetary physics and science.
Thank you.
I'm Joe. I work here on the 11th floor supporting the ops there. I do early stage incubation, and I'm a top 1% user of ChatGPT in 2025. Personal note, like, porting out or whatever. And I would love to talk about any AI startups or anything like that.
I want to first of all let know how you know you're the top 1%.
I can show you.
Yeah, sorry guys. I'm Rob. I founded BossMob, trader, and we do AI for financial institutions.
I'm Jim. I run a fintech and I'm really into AI privacy.
I'm Cora, a civil using app, a realtor and artist, and I wanted to focus on security.
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm a neuroscientist as well, building a non-invasive brain computer interface. We have a new technology that we innovated in our lab that now I'm building the process for it.
Who comes to you last?
Hey, my name's Orion, building Open FPGA, and we're going to talk about that soon.
I'm me. I'm an artist and engineer.
Excellent.
Perfect.
I'm Steve. I'm a Funko Graphics Lab investor and started dabbling after.
Awesome. I skipped you.
Yeah. I'm Gage. I'm the co-lead of the arts and music floor over here. I honestly came to tell people to come check out music, but honestly, just.
You're out of here.
If you want to hear some like sick Afro-funk, like serious indigenous stuff.
It goes to midnight, don't worry.
Yeah, it'll be.
Hi, Robbie. I'm Alyssa, and I build technology that facilitates deeper connection.
Hi guys, I'm Leo. I work on the AI browser automation.
Perfect.
Okay. I'm Matt. I'm building a scary drone to pass autonomous weapon recalls.
I am bigger than you see in every floor in this college. I'm very alone and I'm sharing my very dirty social media.
I'm Ryan, and I work on the physical capability cloud protocol.
Awesome. My name is Toby, and I'm currently working on an AI assistant to help people with ADHD stay on task.
Nice. A little girl there. Wait, your daughter.
You want to say it? Would you like?
Hey, I'm Sean. I work on reasoning engines for AI, and also AI for neuroscience research.
Awesome.
I'm Josh. I have just joined the college, so I don't have any code. And
Are you sure? Take that quickly.
I'm Federico, I'm a software engineer. I build AI features.
Awesome.
I'm Jesse. I'm working with a startup group that is making AI voice that will live on smart glasses. So what I do for the company is I do hardware automation testing.
Excellent. Yeah.
I'm Evelyn. I'm building the iPhone platform.
Love it.
I'm Eugene, produce hackathons, AI, decentralized AI, Neurotech, already next month, building infrastructure and making phones.
Thank you.
I'm Aziz.
Sorry, where are you going to
Hi everyone, my name is Junior. I work on LLM for chip design as my day job, but I also do independent research in embodied AI in my spare time.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Risha. I'm a physicist and I work on auto models for scientific reviews.
Great. Carlos?
Hey, I'm Carlos. I run a behavioral fingerprinting company. Right now we're working on AI minority.
Also amazing with this thing and helping with the event as well. Yeah.
Building an app for individuals with ADHD that provides structure with flexibility to meet people where they are every day.
Thank you.
I'm Anna. I'm a Pharisees.
Landed here. Awesome.
I'm Aziz. I'm a carpenter. I build stuff with wood. And I'm also a dancer.
Perfect.
I'm Glenn, working on embodied AI based on the new concepts.
Like you just had a meal.
However, I'm from Jack. I'm just a determined investor.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next.
Hey guys, I'm Liam. I'm working on voice AI agents to clone your voice and your personality, the highest accuracy possible.
Excellent.
I'm Gerard. I make designs. Right now I'm doing a platform design, man.
Great.
Hi, my name is Yopi. I used to work on AI drones, so I needed a security clearance. Now I co-lead the theorem floor on the 12th floor of the tower.
Perfect.
I'm CJ and I work on blockchain and AI.
Great. Now.
I'm Deva. I'm the founder of the 11th Ethics Institute.
I am Narek, visiting from Netherlands. I have a game startup. We are putting AI agents together to have some emerging collaborative behaviors.
Fantastic. Sir in the black by the window.
Yeah, I'm Sash. I'm a SRE and I'm interested in like using AI.
Great. Go in the back there. Are there people hiding behind them?
I'm Dave. I'm co-founder with Carlos, working on Know Your AI.
Hey, my name is Manoj. I work in Student Health Tech AI, and I'm working at a company trying to build an AI doctor.
All right. And the person behind. Yep.
I'm Maya, and I'm working on generative design for AI cancer.
Excellent. And we covered everybody here? Okay. Finally, Tony, you want to talk about yourself?
Sure. Why do you do that? Anyone else that didn't introduce themselves?
You got everyone.
Everyone.
Yeah.
So, what's up, folks? I'm Tony. I also happen to be involved with the 7th floor makerspace here, where we build things with wood sometimes.
Now, the sponsor for the amazing food.
Oh yeah, I should have mentioned that too. Yeah, so client is sponsoring food tonight. In a previous life, I worked for the DoD and building AI agent harnesses, which I'm not necessarily proud of now, but here we are. And so without further ado, and hopefully so you don't remember me saying that, I'm just going to jump straight into this demo, which is we're going to add functionality to this Express app. Nothing too crazy here. So you don't think I'm cheating on the demo, we can see that all we have here is just an index.json. It's just a hello world app. Nothing too crazy there. Then we have our standard package lock. Nothing too fancy. So let's come on and move on. Basically what Klein does is it takes a look at the files that are necessary and part of your project. Maybe you should stand up. That actually helps with projection, doesn't it? So great. So in the time I spent quietly yapping, we have created a plan to update the Express app and add a contact form to it. Basically, we're just going to be adding a new contact and get route. Oh, you're very kind. Thank you for that. And we are going to be implementing this contact page. Because we're not going to set up an SMTP server to handle email, we're just going to go ahead and print it out to the terminal. And without further ado, let's swap it into Act mode. So chances are you've probably used Claude Code if you're in this room. Chances are you've probably used Cursor. So you might be wondering, oh, great, another AI agent harness? Yes, another AI agent harness. However, this one is A, fully open source. B, you can use whatever model you want with it. We got Sonnet, we got Opus, we got Codex, we got Gemini, and you can even bring your own provider. If you got a ChatGPT subscription, great news. You can just plug that in. If you got an Anthropic subscription, I also have great news. If you have some other weird thing that you built and you're just wanting to use an OpenAI compatible endpoint, great news for you too. That includes CoreWeave, weights and biases, all that other good stuff. So in the time that I was yapping, Klein put together this focus chain, which tells us exactly the work that it'll be doing as we proceed along. And we can see it actually has the ability to use the browser and pull it in and test the implementation. I just went through and added the necessary code. We realized that there was a little testing waiting happening here. So we're just going through it, iterating on that, and improving on that side of things. Yeah, fingers crossed that this looks correct. There we go, we have a contact page. That's nice. It's a heck of a lot easier. Things to various projects, especially in the AI realm. So, with that, I'd like to announce we just got a $1 million grant for open source projects as well. If you are building in the open source stage, I am absolutely begging you to apply to this because I actually want to do it now. So,
nice.
If you need a short link, just klein.bot/OSS-grant. That'll take you right to this site. Amazing. Sounds good. And with that, just go ahead and take a look. That looks like all of our tests are passing successfully in post browser. And task is complete. So anyway, that's fine, everyone. It comes as an extension for the ES code or anti-gravity or whatever other ES code recorders have to use for line base. That's not released yet. I should have talked to you all about that. But you can also access line within ECLI as well, which is always good fun. Anyways, yeah, it's over.
So, by the way, we don't do any product demos, but he's a sponsor. So, please, that's all his slides.
All the open source grants, I'm begging you, please apply to them. Yes, that would be klein.bot/OSS-grant, and I will be happy to send that out there.
Please search Klein grant.
Okay, perfect. Let me know if you can see this one in the back.
Yeah.
Would you like quickly? We can go quickly. So this is the blog post that we're going to use to structure the conversation around the Socratic dialogues. One important thing, as we go through this one, please, if you would have to talk with someone, go in the back. Go somewhere else. Totally keep the room all closed here. This is all the list of all the events for this month. And we start with this month. So OpenAI released GPT 4 5.4 for everyone. Who's using 5.4? Hands up. Okay, who's using Cloud? Yeah. It's interesting because so we have this 5 badge. If you saw the question when you joined the event, it was like asking what is the model and the tools that you use. And every month we'll be putting that in the whiteboard. And so you can see here, Claude and Cloud Code is the most used by the community. It's a small like data sample, but it's kind of like following the market. It's pretty interesting. Okay, next thing, Google Gemini 3.1 flashlight came out recently. I didn't get to try 3.1. Anyone did though? Yep.
Yeah, I used it for a specific use case where it actually takes image and audio input directly to the image process. So, yeah, that's one of the few models.
When 3.5 is out and it came out with a lot of drama as well, a lot of the people from the team left, which seems like we might stop seeing open source from Alibaba. Anyone has an opinion or some alpha about this?
I heard about it.
Yeah, and for who's not familiar with Quen, the Quen 3.5 is one of the most used open source for fine tuning or running as a judge or running as a entering the semi-local. Grok. Saying that Anthropic is a chain risk. Whatever it is. But what's interesting is that you'll see that after the fundraising section, made Claude one of the most used LLM. And everyone is like, a lot of people, 100 million people, or some really crazy number left OpenAI because of like the policies. You probably know, Sam was like first playing along with Dario and then decided, well, next day he signed the contract. Yep. And yep. OpenAI, XAI, Google, they all signed the DOW agreement. Okay, this is some interesting thing. In Middle East, now with the escalation in Iran, one rocket went, it's hard to be apolitical here, but one rocket went in AWS in one data center, and so the UAE AWS data center was off for a couple of hours or whatever it is. Anyone has any alpha about this? Okay. We'll just read it. All right. And also interesting, another thing that is happening now with the Strait of Hormuz being closed, all the oil is like getting shut down. All the material like aluminum or whatever classified as Strait of Hormuz is shut down. And so at some point, CPU, CPU, GPU, whatever making, they will also start having problems. And so this is something to keep an eye on for AI as well, because a lot of funding, you have to remember that a lot of funding in the US is coming from the UAE and from the Middle East. And shutting down the flow of funding in AI, it's AI right now is more supporting the S&P, and so each one might cause like some disruption. Anyone in the room that have an opinion or any alpha?
Just a question. Have you heard of any like funds slowing down funding from the Middle East to the AI companies?
I'm interested in like anyone that yeah.
I actually had a friend that really needed testing center. And we were like, I don't know how to do this type of stuff. But it was more of like a high level conversation. We were both of us speculating. Because apparently some of those
I would express a lot of skepticism about the story because, like, the main thing that UAE's got most of the rockets from Iran, and the main thing that UAE is, and all the business people really think about, is that it destroys the vision of UAE as like a safe hub for tourism and for capital formation and all this other stuff, which is then trying to diversify their economies out of oil and out of natural gas, right? Like, that's the reason why they care about all this stuff and become this financial center of the Middle East. Otherwise, they are incredibly oil heavy and oil dependent. And so on some level, if they cannot put their money into domestic development, they kind of have to put it elsewhere, which actually might mean that they have more reason to invest money overseas because they can't get as much return investing domestically. So ironically, I don't know that this is true. It might actually be the opposite. Is that, NEOM, the Saudi, they're putting like $500 billion into NEOM, which is like this island, I guess, or
the Lion City is like a lion.
Yeah, it's this huge strip of new city they're trying to create to be like extremely luxurious, super expensive city. If now the perception of people is that, oh, I don't want to get into these because I'm going to be right next door to Iran and Iran is crazy, then they might just say like, well, what's the point of investing domestically? We should just invest internationally and invest less in because they have oil, right? They have all the actual natural deposits, and as a result, like in a sense, the price of oil going up in the long run is actually not bad for them because they're huge net exporters. Same thing with Russia, right? Russia is a huge net exporter, so it's in some sense good for them that prices went up.
I guess we'll see how this whole thing will go for the next couple weeks and months because that also means now they will pressure Sam Altman and other people to pressure the lobbies in the United States government and impact election voting and other legislation even more to move the United States maybe out of Iran or out of Hormuz or security for the chain reaction.
They will have to block the ship for this $1 million and the law will be like, hey, we're losing money.
Another thing that could happen very potentially is if this whole thing reduces the amount of terrorism activity in the Middle East long term, that could lead to lower inflation long term and lower interest rates long term. So it could potentially be good for AI all. This is not an estimation.
How is low inflation? Why low inflation?
Because if you take out the terrorist organizations in Iran, right, if that's true, right, I don't know if that's going to be true or not, but if that were to happen, right, then that would be lower gas prices long term, right, because now it's a more peaceful area in general, right, if you have lower gas prices, inflation will come down.
Well, Iran does not have a lot of terrorist activity. They have a government that is role for the United States. Unlike Middle East where Syria and other places that are not stable have a lot of terrorist organizations, Islamic terrorism going on. But Iran, I think, is keeping a tight leash on active, terrorism outside the fact that the government itself is not playing along the rules that we set for the United States, like nuclear.
Well, they're linked to sponsoring terrorism.
They do, right? Yeah. No, it's still
destabilization and destabilization of the country, the entire region, and all this terrorism.
Well, staying in the blurry line of non-political, so one step below. And Polymarket, how many of you have been seeing that Polymarket put this like bet on nuke is going to go off in 2027, and it was like at 5%. It's like, damn, that's scary. And luckily, they decided to remove it because, I mean, even free markets, even open source system, they still need a little bit of like moderation, a little bit of like regulations, because otherwise you end up with like some country like this where the risk is that now you create an incentive to make a nuke to me. And when it's like someone running soccer field, maybe that's it's making 100K, like whatever. But in this case, it's like pretty serious. And so they decided to put a line on murder and on nuclear or anything risky.
Yeah, that's so far outside my imagination that someone gets to live at my government nuke.
That's crazy. It's amazing.
Like manipulating the market every time.
Yeah. And I mean, if you know the Vitalik and Robin Hanson, Futarki, they talk about some like betting markets influencing the outcome of the future governance. This is like one of the cases where even betting market still need like some regulation. Cybersecurity, so Claude accused that the Chinese model had been stealing from Claude with like prompt injection and stuff like that. Well, Claude is being stealing from ChatGPT at some point, and ChatGPT is being taken from YouTube, Reddit, and many others before. So it really doesn't matter. I don't know.
It's the comments. It's human knowledge.
Any comments on this one?
Yeah, it's just all human knowledge. It belongs to people.
Yeah.
We had a really great discussion about where copyrights and IP are going with respect to artists earlier today on the 6th floor. And regardless of like the good or bad parts of the AI, we have a lot of work to do in that space. Huge, so much work to do.
Yeah.
We're actually hosting an AI booth in the last tower for the next week or so. Of course, you're right.
And how many of you are? Sorry, go for it.
Yeah, just really quick on the analyzation of like cost stuff. But it's really interesting because this would have kind of, whether it's like good for the field or bad for the field in terms of nanotechnology, I won't comment on that. But it wouldn't have happened if there was like a proof of humanity element to actually use AI.
Tell us more about humanity.
Yeah, so there's a couple of ways to do it. I think a lot of us are familiar with biometrics, and obviously there's more privacy-preserving ways of doing it, however, where it's kind of like a tapestry of different signals, including biometric government who are in blockchain, analyze such on-chain transactions, see what's bought, signature, signature, a lot of different things. And then the most compelling technologies, from my perspective, are the ones that decentralize the actual identity across the network instead of storing it like in a location where it can be hacked. We've seen a lot of identity turns to problems over the past couple of years. So proving humanity is basically just like a way to governance, a way to determine that you are a human on the internet.
Like what on?
Having worked with like web search over the years, some of this stuff feels like it's all the same things just happening again. So I just think that people act like I'm brand new, but like this exactly happened when Bing copied all of Google search, and it was completely documented at the time, and they pretty much admitted it. As I said, I think that this is very hard to present, assume that this doesn't just the way it works, so we're just collecting the data. And then I have another quick take on it, which is I think everyone feels like Anthropic is written about books, or OpenAI is written about books. But if there's one company, I'm not saying it's good, but it's like there's been one company for a very long time who decides what authors and what publishers will make money, it's Amazon. And because they have a monopoly on both print and digital distribution for many, many years. So I think we have a conversation. We have to like put it into our pocket.
Another answer, Mate, are you here? The Amplify guy? Yeah. I mean, you guys create the Ethernet with, not directly, but maybe you have an opinion on this. I'm curious. I'm putting you on the spot, but I don't know. I think that if you didn't use Amplify for scripting anything, it's a great problem.
Yeah, so our government put export controls to limit the amount of GPU compute that Chinese companies and affiliates can gather. So this is just like basically a loophole they can exploit to keep making AI progress, essentially, showing that like regulation doesn't always.
We've been seeing that some large companies kind of
even X, Twitter, they at some point closed the API and they say only per API $500,000 a year. But now they reopen it to everyone. You pay by use because I mean you cannot stop something like a cloud computer or anything that is like a mouse clicking. And I don't even know if the proof of humanity is something that makes sense. You can do it in that case, maybe. But yeah, right now everyone scrape everyone. It is what it is.
This is coming from a very biased angle because this is what I work in. But my view is that access to high quality proprietary data is the major differentiator because everyone has access to the same utilities and everyone's scraping from everyone else. But those who can access, control, manage, acquire, aggregate high quality proprietary data have an immense advantage.
Alpha.
That's I agree with that.
Just one thing I want to point out about that story is that I feel like the story really shows how stretchy our intuitions about intellectual property are. Is that like violations of intellectual property rights are sometimes cool and sometimes cringe, and depending on that, people have very different reactions. It's like peer-to-peer file sharing, super cool, right? Chinese labs scraping the models depends on where you are, whether it's cool or cringe, and then everybody OpenAI is definitely cringe, absolutely cringe. But they're all basically the same sin, which is violating intellectual property rights. So I feel like as a society we just are very schizophrenic about when it's okay, not legally okay, obviously in all these situations it's not okay, but when it's like morally righteous and when it's obviously evil and should be.
But isn't it about power at the end of the day?
But I mean, with the Chinese labs are very powerful in China. They may not be powerful here, but in China they're perceived as obviously very powerful.
Yeah, so you don't like the fact that the Chinese models are scraping everybody else.
Yeah, or even like web scraping, right? Even web scraping, we have very different intuitions about what you're scraping, whether it's okay or not. So like scraping everybody's LinkedIn and creating a database of everyone's LinkedIn in the world, people are like, oh, that's gross. You shouldn't be able to do that. But then, scraping, I don't know, other random websites, it's like, well, why not? It's open. It's on the internet. You should be able to scrape it.
I think it depends if you benefit or not.
Yeah.
Right. It's like we have this moral accounting that we do based on how powerful you are.
Yeah.
Which is obviously you can't build a system of law around, okay, you're cringy and big, so you're not allowed to, but the small guy is.
Stack Overflow got destroyed because of it was like, okay, we can use it. Now nobody uses Stack Overflow, which was incredible and got destroyed because of that. So this one I go really quickly. Actually, Asim did explain this one really well in a podcast. Pretty much like the head of safety, AI safety, had an OpenClaw running to read her email, and she just asked delete a couple of email or whatever, and then probably what happened was that the token context window ran out, and there was a compacting event, and it forgot there was deleting 2 or 3 emails. It was like, oh, let's block the whole thing, and it started deleting all the emails, and it's funny because it's like her saying stop, please, stop, and and the crazy thing is that she actually posted that on Twitter, which is like, you're the head of Meta, so yeah. Okay.
Would you post that if you made that mistake?
I'm such an open book that probably yes. I would never.
It's
so dumb, but I probably would.
I don't think it's dumb. I think it's courageous, and I think more people should do it so we can act and address it.
Getting nuked or posting about it?
Posting about it.
I think it's dumb.
I mean, it's dumb, but then it's courageous, right? To be able to say, don't do it yourself. I'm the meta guy who did this, but security person, and even I can make this mistake. So all of us can learn from this, right? We are not any smarter than that lady, in my opinion. Right?
Absolutely.
Do we know if she still has her job?
I don't know. And it's funny because there's a lot of other drama Meta, if you know, with Binary Company and then Yanakun leaving. And, so, I don't know, Meta has been one of those weird companies in AI. And it sounds like they might be buying from Google Inference at some point because they also let Alexander Wang out recently. So.
Oh, I was just gonna say I think it's interesting that she was public about it. I think it's a good cautionary tale for maybe smaller companies that don't have the backups that Facebook would have. Historically, or just generally speaking, deleting emails when you're a corporation doesn't really do that.
I think it was her personal emails.
Oh, it was her personal.
It was her personal emails, so not backup.
The actual.
I don't know if
you guys love checking your emails, but there's a real easy way of getting out of having to check a whole bunch of emails that maybe you lapsed on. And if you just blame OpenClaw, I'm not saying that happens. You got to post it out.
This is how I'm going to ignore your email.
Let's see, hands up who read the Citrini, I don't know how you say it. Alright, enough people. I don't know if you want to spend time on this, but what's interesting is that it caused some slippage, some crash in the market when this came out. Correlation, maybe not. But
when did it come out?
Was like about
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Yeah. Actually, I think, do you have any comments on this? Anything?
I think it was the reaction was a little bit overblown. I think if you read people who understand the individual companies he was talking about, they all point holes in the individual story. But the overall picture, which is basically, for those who didn't read it, the idea of the story is that what if there's a huge intelligence boom, but the stock market goes way, way down? Are those two ideas compatible? And I think the very short answer is yes, because the stock market is a measure of producers, and it's possible for producer surplus to go down and consumer surplus to go up. It's possible we get richer and the stock market collapses.
Yeah, and what's another takeaway from this is that a blog post or like a model launch can crush the market. If you remember DeepSeek last year, there was like a lot of talking about, wow, now it's so cheap to run inference and run training, that they only spend $1 million, which wasn't true. But that was enough to crush the market because NVIDIA was like a crash and everyone followed. And by the way, we're still waiting for DeepSeek 4. It's still like, they keep like hinting. All right, moving on. I mean, Silicon Valley, probably everyone watched this one. And what is Dario? Someone here looks like Dario. No, it's not him. There's another guy that looks exactly like Dario. Anyway, yeah. OpenAI closed another $110 billion. Let's move quickly to the next one.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Was that before or after the announcement to the government?
I think this one was before.
Okay.
Yeah. This one was quite before. But the project they were working with SoftBank, Stargate, I think that project kind of like is shaking. It's not. They were supposed to raise $500 billion, and I think they reduced the amount. And Anthropic is the clear winner. During the DOW drama, Claude became the #1 app on the App Store. The adoption, model rate adoption went up like crazy. Revenue growth went to the $20 billion, probably that's from 2 weeks ago, I think, so maybe even way higher now. So Claude is doing really well.
Can I ask a question? Is it?
Yeah.
There's a side story to the OpenAI, which is Zoe Herzig, the whistleblower, which also, that story kind of affected a lot of users that have checked out of OpenAI.
No, I'm not familiar. One, Anthropic one, and OpenAI one, pretty hard, because OpenAI needed to dump a lot of users because their revenue is negative on that. They were able to dump a lot of users. Anthropic wants more users, so they were able to give those to Anthropic. And now OpenAI has government deals that are going to carry them through the next 3 years and keep them alive. And now the government also probably got a cheaper deal than they had previously with Anthropic via OpenAI. So all three of them won pretty hard on that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's right at all. I think, so one, like, OpenAI, like this story is like somebody who reads the New York Times kind of story.
Okay.
Most people who use ChatGPT are not paying users.
Right.
They're not reading the New York Times. They don't read the story in half.
Sure.
So I think overwhelmingly, this story, like Silicon Valley, San Francisco in particular, cared a lot about the story. And like people like us who like read tech news care a lot about the story. We're the people who pay. Less than 1% of users pay for ChatGPT. Vast majority of users are on the free tier. So I bet you that all, like a large portion of the users who cancel were paying users. And the Department of War, $200 million for a single customer is very small relative to the overall addressable market for all of these guys. Like, it's a very small portion of the revenue. And they have a lot of pissed off customers because of the story. Like, that's why Sam was playing damage control on Twitter was because they had Exodus people, they have probably other enterprise customers who are just like, fuck these guys. You know, like the tech industry is very ideological. So I think absolutely OpenAI lost. Department of War, unclear if they won or lost. I mean, they're now having to like do a data migration, which sucks.
Just going to throw us out there also, the real impressive player in the story is Olama because the DOW/DOD is using them pretty much exclusively as their provider for Olama. But like you never hear any mentions of Olama like being involved in this in any way, shape, or form. So I'm kind of impressed by their ability to stay out of headlines.
Could you repeat? They use it exclusively as what?
The actual provider.
The what provider?
The actual like AI provider.
Like at a contract level, or just because it's local they install it?
At a contract level for the most part. Well, I can actually give a little bit of insight now. There was originally we were using Olama just like sort of experiment with. Then once you had a certain tier, plus once you want to on-premises host it, there's some code development that happened. So the Air Force is actually like one of the biggest customers that Olama has. But again, you will literally never read about that because they're very good at keeping that out of headlines.
I went to school with Jeffrey. Yeah, it's interesting.
He'll be mad if you ask about it.
Real quick, the other thing I want to add to your point is if I was a researcher at a Frontier lab right now, I'd be really wondering about where do I want to support? Like what are the ethics? And who do I trust to support it? And I think that's the other thing that I'm not like hearing the story is like I feel like OpenAI may have lost a lot of trust with its own people. Not necessarily. I think you can argue about whether the deal they made was like actually supportive of like all the legal language. But the point is like they did it in like a day, and to me that timeline and that pace to me is indicative of like a certain power. The way I parse it is a certain like desire for power. And I'm really curious because I think ultimately these companies are made of individuals, and these individuals can, at their mercy, choose where they choose to work and provide their work.
There's some charts in the last month blog post that was showing like how many people went from OpenAI to Anthropic to OpenAI, Anthropic to Meta.
Yeah.
And Anthropic is the one that has the best retention rate ever. Yeah. Everyone else, they're going everywhere.
Didn't the VP of robotics engineering from OpenAI leave like a few days ago or something?
Yeah. Based on that too. Yeah.
So I got another take on that story too, by the way. What I think is it's not just because of like those types of reasons, right? I think also just it raised a lot of awareness for Claude, right? Like people didn't even know it existed. You know what I mean? Right? And like I don't know. I use all of them personally, and like I'll sometimes put a query to like all 4 or all 5 all at the same time, and I've just been finding Claude is just better. Like, it just has better answers, does it faster, whatever. And I think this story just raised awareness for that. You know?
There's a chart somewhere here. Find it. There's a chart somewhere here about Claude. But yeah, it's like a 5% of American, I think, is some tiny number. They don't even know what Claude is. Like everyone knows. Yeah. Yeah. Go for it. Yeah.
I have one more take.
Yes.
Which is, in regards to your comment about 1%. This is maybe one of the rare occasions where one of those people in the 1% have done a great decision, made a great decision, at least from the rest of us, 99% perspective. Perhaps majority living in outside the United States.
Yeah.
But us in the United States.
Yeah. I still think we should push as much as possible in open source AI, but if you have to choose one, seems like again not politics, not decision, but Anthropic has been like ethically a little bit more correct. And okay, this one I'll go really quickly. Leopold Aschenberger made from $1 billion, $5.5 billion investing in. Let's see if I have a picture of the portfolio. One of the interesting investments he's been doing is he's been buying Bitcoin mining companies, because apparently for AI data center to start like launching the data center, they need to get regulations and those take years to buy property. Then they need to buy all the hardware, they need to buy all the electricity and everything. And it's been ahead. So if you're investing in AI, absolutely read the situational awareness. It's gigantic, but it really is like, he's killing it. And one of the interesting things, he thinks that AGI is coming.
So one of the interesting things here about like the timelines between crypto and AI keep like enmeshing together. So one, obviously, like NVIDIA used to make all their money from crypto mining back in 2017, 2018. And then crypto mining collapsed, and then NVIDIA ended up being an AI company. But once upon a time, like they were a crypto company, effectively. And so one of the interesting things is that, okay, now a lot of the Bitcoin mining companies are being reconstituted as AI data center companies because the infrastructure is basically the same. Is that you have access, you have a big facility, you've got access to a lot of power, especially cheap power, that you've locked in for a long time. One of the interesting things is that I was talking to a guy who runs a mining company recently, and actually a lot of these mining facilities are now dual homing, in that they both have AI workload, they have GPUs, then they also have Bitcoin mining co-located. And why do they have this? They have this because AI workload demands are very seasonal, in that people are using most of their tokens during the day. That's why, like Anthropic now, I think till the end of the month is like giving you 2x during off hours. It's because it's so much higher during work hours that people are consuming tokens, and off hours people are doing nothing. They're sleeping, and maybe you're open claws, like whatever, running your cron jobs. But for so basically in off hours, you can take the same power generation and use it to mine Bitcoin, and it's more economical for the same data center to just keep running power automatically 24/7. So historically, the reason why Bitcoin mining was so advantageous in so many places is because you could use power in the middle of nowhere at a time when nobody else wanted any power, which would otherwise be wasted, and use it to mine Bitcoin. That made a lot of data center sites economical that otherwise nobody would ever bother building there. So now, those sites were created there, are now better utilized by AI data centers, but now the AI data centers can use Bitcoin mining to offset their off-hour costs.
So much I work with some of these. They're really bad at managing production infrastructure, like absolutely terrible. But the right about the utilization thing, it can take offtake essentially for GPUs that aren't being utilized. But the mixing of the two, I think it's just starting to happen.
Right.
And from a PowerPoint perspective, NVIDIA is trying to push much more demands on upstream power. So all of the Bitcoin infrastructure is not going to fit for the newer stuff. For the H100s and prior, it's probably fine. But the Bitcoin mining companies are very interesting from what they've built, because you don't need all the redundancy and all of like the tier 3 ratings that a production data center would need. But most of them have already moved in. Like I'd say like all at least in the US.
Yep. And I think we can all agree that the one that got fucked up from these is the gamers.
What?
Gamers. I mean, you cannot play any games because now like you have to pay like $2,000 for a card, $2,500. It's like
GPUs used to be graphical processing.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
The GPU
So okay, job market. This is called, they call it the SaaSpocalypse, but I'm part of this group. There's like a meme coin group, and we call the group the fucking from the SaaSpocalypse. And and you probably heard about Jack Dorsey firing, I think it was 40% or 60%, I forget the number, and 3,000 employees, 40%. And it's not because they're losing money, it's because actually they're profitable, but that will increase their productivity. And this is not like an event that just is like in the vacuum. This is like probably a precursor of what's going to happen. And there's different point of view here from different companies and different researchers. But I'll skip this one. You can read it on your own time. The labor market impact. Where is the guy who's working with wood carpenter, the wood artist? Okay, he left. He's probably the only one that has a moat in his room. He's probably the only one that can still have a job in the next 5 years. Okay, hardware. Any comments?
Sorry, do you actually believe that? That like we're all going to lose our jobs? Because right now, the opposite is happening, right? People who work in those things, that business and finance and computers and all that kind of stuff, they're getting paid more right now.
I have an opinion here. So I'm an AI maxi at the point that it's like right now, they put people to work on a Tesla robot taxi, just sitting there and driving, and it's just, I mean, that one is like just to be legal, but there's a lot of robots where the person is there and do the movement, and it's only to train the robot. So all these jobs are to train the robot, and then you're gone. And I think that's what us engineering is like. I think we're like being replaced. Right now it's increasing, but then you can't replicate the same work.
You know, there's a different take on this, right?
Yeah.
Like if you read Kurzweil's latest book, it's a very good book, right? He thinks that this is going to be more of like an extension of your brain.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So it's going to be like, you're going to be 10,000 times smarter, and you're just going to produce more, right? And it's not like everyone's going to lose their jobs. People who refuse to use AI, they will definitely not have a job, right? But the people who get very good with AI could potentially make 1,000 times more money. You know what I mean?
I think you would argue, if you look at it historically, and I think we're quite myopic on this, historically, every new technology everyone says, everyone's going to lose their job.
Yeah, right.
Electricity,
Yeah.
computers, whatever. And we're all very good at trying to make fucking more money.
Yeah.
And what it means is that we innovate to make more money, to make more money, to make more money. And there are some people who don't, and they lose their jobs.
Yeah.
But I think I don't buy that we're all going to lose our jobs.
Well, we are.
Things will
We're
change.
going to get new ones.
We're going to need new ones. Thank you. Yes. Things will
to that.
change, and jobs will change.
Yeah.
But
One counter argument to that is we're automating intellect, we're automating intelligence, and at some point, if you really are able to create something that is market mass, well, number one, with software, producing your own code, your own apps and everything, is like, who's gonna buy what? Because you can build your own like Datadog. I mean, you can, like, you vibe code something that just check your logs and it's done. That's what all you need. You
So I just think we're just going to do more with it, just
Yeah.
like we did with electricity and everything else, right?
I kind of agree with the comment that if you look historically, this happens every single time, and I think the preponderance of evidence is that people, even the smartest people in the world, consistently make incorrect predictions about this kind of thing.
Yeah.
We can, people could be right now and it could be different, but that's the history. And then secondly, my issue with that diagram, if you look at the actual values, like the entries, we're dividing it by industry. I think if you think about that, that's just not the right way to slice it. You're like, and then the outer ones are like theoretical maximum. Like, who came up with the theoretical maximum? That sales is 70% theoretically automatable by AI, and this other area is 100%. It's random. People are making things up. So I think you should be that maybe a little bit. So I think that what you should say is certain kinds of intellectual work, process engineering, has just become 1,000 times cheaper for certain categories of work, and for the areas where you can switch, that's going to happen.
Damn it, why are we not all farmers still? Why are we not all farmers?
Maybe we'll get back to that.
Question. Let's see. Hands up who thinks there would be more jobs? Let's say. Who's
same? We usually tell what's same.
Who thinks there would be more jobs from AI? Let's say.
More jobs from AI.
From AI.
Or specifically because of AI?
Because of AI.
Temporarily. I actually.
Okay, yeah, and here's all the other points. It's like so hard to
AI.
even formulate the question because it's like which job in which time frame and.
I'd say that's two questions. One is like, is the economic output of knowledge work among people and machines going up or down? And then secondly, what is that distribution? Because it could be, for example, the top 20% of people get massively more income, and the bottom 50% get massively less, or maybe something.
I would say per capita GDP will be higher because of AI. How it's distributed is another question.
Gini's index probably would be
maybe if depending on how we handle it.
Genius index?
Gini.
Oh, sorry. I'll add one more insight.
Yeah.
And there will be this discussion about AI as well as it was for social media or any innovation in digital or pre-digital era, including nuclear, wheel, fire. All of them went through the same maturity process for any technology first time it was introduced to our civilization, which is first we expand in every direction. We find positive and negative ways to use it, benevolent and malevolent ways to use it, and then we, as a civilization, grow up, learn how to make best out of it, and then print out the negative sides, aspects of it, and learn to regulate those negative ends. This will be the same way. People will have a lot of negative things to say and will keep saying about it, but eventually we'll find a way to merge with it, find hybrid ways to exist with AI, with our neuroscientific capabilities as well. And the future is going to be much better, just like every other technology has.
And I think there's some confirmation bias there. The ones who didn't figure it out died.
There is. I have some solutions that I'm willing to offer on this. That's why I'm hopeful.
Yeah, I'd also just like to add, I think my take is a little different, which is intelligence. We value cognitive intelligence a lot in our current society. But as I see it, that the cost of that is going to zero, which means that other forms of intelligence are going to be more valuable. And I see what it means to be human is changing in this world. So what the different other aspects of what humans can do other than drive cars or work in factories is going to be much more valuable. I also think there is a world, there is a potential future where there's enough abundance where not everyone needs to have a job, but they can choose to have one, not because they need to make money, but because that's their passion, that's like their service or their vocation to the world. In some ways, to me, jobs as to work in order to survive feels like an intermediary step to a more advanced civilization. It doesn't feel like the end.
Which is why I think if you define it by per capita GDP, right? How do you distribute it? What roles do we play to acquire that wealth? It could be completely different in
Per capita GDP is an average. So
it doesn't tell you how it's distributed. So we don't know how it's distributed. We know that per capita GDP, average will be higher. We don't know how it's going to be distributed, but that's up to us to decide. And we're building the future. The future is going to happen.
Okay, so I have a very different take here, which is that, it's very clear if you look at this chart, it's an extremely jagged chart, which is that AI is very, very good at the stuff that we do.
Yeah.
It is very bad at stuff that most people in the economy are doing. Most people are not doing knowledge work. And so it's very compatible with the story that basically AI on net creates more jobs, but it doesn't create more jobs here. It could well be that basically in 15 years, San Francisco looks like Detroit. Is that, the car industry, after the boom of the overseas transfer of manufacturing, the car industry created more cars. But there were way fewer humans working in the car industry who were here in America. And so this is like a massive outsourcing event, but the outsourcing is in the data centers instead of to another country. And that may well be that most of the rest of America doesn't care that there aren't as many software engineers anymore. There aren't as many people doing project management or product management anymore. It's perfectly compatible. The one element of that I think people also forget, though, is that the most dangerous people to put out of jobs are elites. It's like, when we haul it out in manufacturing base in America, manufacturing base in America is not politically powerful. But elites are very powerful.
From Kurzweil, the 10,000x intellectual multiplier. And if we are the people getting multiplied by 10,000x, then Mr. Contrarian, who made some good contrarian arguments earlier, then I think your entire argument's flipped. And so it could be that we are going to capture the majority of the economy.
Well, but what that assumes is that the coordination costs. So let's think about this practically, right? You have a company, let's say a single person can run 10 agents simultaneously. Right. And those 10 agents are very good software engineers or product managers, designers, whatever. The question is there room for 100,000 of those? Or is the coordination cost among them too high that basically there's only demand for so many companies and products? That's why there's competition. There's only so many ride-sharing companies, so many food delivery apps, so many, et cetera, coming out of Silicon Valley.
Coordination prices are good. The cost to coordinate a lot of agents and a lot of agents' physical capabilities are going to drop.
If that's true from the agents themselves, then what are the humans doing?
But I mean, just you have to think from first principles, what is the value you're creating in the economy, and think all the way to the end of the value chain, seems to me. And so what's going to happen is it's hard for us to imagine what do we value in 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
But it's going to be different things. And so we always assume we're wanting the same thing. So all our kids back then will be happy.
And
that's not human to work.
And I think that's the only thing we know for sure, which is we don't know.
A lot more
The
stuff.
value hasn't
Right.
come
Here's
yet,
is that
right?
it's really essential to have vision. So for
Exactly,
instance,
yes.
when telephones were invented, that definitely impacted many people's livelihoods, but it also made skyscrapers possible. Like, skyscrapers didn't exist before.
That's why
telephones.
focusing on risk so much is like, it's just not thinking about what's possible. And right now, I would say AI is one of the most high agency technologies we've ever seen. So we're going to discover things, people are creative with it, and we'll create new things that other people see value in that we can't imagine.
So if you want to bring it back to this chart.
Yeah, let's get another opinion and then let's move, because we also we want to dedicate a certain amount of time for each topic, because we have also the demo. Last one, yeah.
We can talk about it later.
The analogy you drew between power industry domestically going to Japan, now we're outsourcing to data centers. And that's a fundamentally human out of the loop situation. We're not multiplying by anything. It's humans unemployed in data centers running these autonomous agents. Human out of the loop. So yeah, I see a lot of what you're saying there.
It's a phase.
Well, okay, just to get like a summary. I feel like we're not agreeing on what's going to happen and how it's going to unroll, and it sounds like we're kind of like getting closer to the singularity, and we don't know what's next.
I think we come into an agreement that we need a much longer discussion period for this topic.
So can I say one more small thing? So just from a biological perspective, right? Your cortex is a lot smarter than your brainstem, right? You still need your brainstem.
Let's get one conversation at a time. One conversation at a time.
Yeah, your cortex is a lot smarter than your brainstem. It's way smarter to do a lot more things, but your brainstem is still needed. I mean, it's still like the fundamental way that you exist, right? So if you think about AI the same way, that's just adding onto your cortex, you still need the human in the loop, because that's what the AI is doing. You know what I mean? That's what the AI wants to do. It wants to please humans. So fundamentally, humans have to be in the loop.
That's part of the philosophy discussion for after. We can go there. I'm gonna skip this one because it's like simply there's a new laptop for your grandma and your aunt that call you like, hey, can you fix my Android phone and my Android computer? So now you give like this one, and they're like gonna run with this. The other thing is now you can run inference on a $400 computer. It's not bad. Okay, so going into the research. And I'll need help from the researcher in the room. Actually, hands up, how many researchers we have today? Lance, I consider you a researcher. Okay, 1, 2. AI researcher. Okay, good. Okay, there was this paper that was pretty interesting, the molecular structure of thoughts, mapping the topology of long chain of thought reasoning. They were using biology as a way to represent chain of thought and AI, and using different terms for basically analyzing AI. And anyone read this paper? No? Okay. So moving on to the next one. The psychology of memory. This one is an essay about how memory works. I'm not going to go into the details because we don't have time, so we keep moving. But if you're interested about how memory works, this paper break the concept of like there's how the human brain memory works is totally different than how we are running today agent memory. There's episodic memory. There's like a trauma, and there's so many different.
I'm sorry, could you scroll up one more time, just for a minute? I'm writing something down. Could you scroll back up? Yeah, right there. Thank you.
Yeah.
By
the way, I'm gonna share the blog post. I mean, it's in the Luma event. You can find the blog post.
Thank you.
Okay. Reasoning models don't always say what they think. We know that. The chain of thought always is like has a lot of biases, and they hide a lot of stuff in there. If anyone has a comment, anyone read the paper. If you didn't read the paper, no comments, please. Okay. Claude cycle. Yeah, Claude was able to break another math problem that these scientists worked for 12 years or something like that. And it's like, so when people say AI is not useful at anything, well, there's people working for 20 plus years on math problems, and now AI can solve it in an hour. So if that's not like the proof that actually is working, I don't know what it is. Do LLM benefits from their own world? This one actually is a practical paper. It's pretty interesting. One thing that I do is like you ask a question and they start giving you the answer, reasoning, and now you have all that long text with a ton of context in this text. And if you ask the next question, you already have this long text before, that text will influence the answer after, and so it will start locking down a few of the neurons. For example, if I was talking about the Golden Gate Bridge, after there's chances that we'll keep talking about Golden Gate Bridge. And so one suggestion here is clear anything that is not necessary. Very practical. Agent of chaos, another interesting paper about alignment. One of the problems with alignment is that we can align one agent, and these papers say that, well, when you have like a structure of multiple agents, they're gonna drift anyway, and they're gonna be like misaligned anyway, and they're gonna like decide what they want to do. So it's very hard. It becomes chaos, and it's very hard to like align a group of agents. And there's a beautiful podcast from Machine Learning Street Talk where I forgot the name of the scientist compares AGI or AI swarms to organs. Like your liver, you don't tell the liver, hey, do something. You can have hormones that change the behavior. You can take medicine that change the behavior. And so a complex system, you can align that with some incentive. And so one idea is that eventually for AGI, we might have to think about ways for doing that. And this is very high in the abstract. So the Andrei Karpathy research paper, I'll skip this one because you guys do a demo. So human organoid brain in hell. Someone put. So they're actually in the biotech lab here. They're building organoid brains. They're not human. They're building organoid brains, and then they use that for experiments, like with medication.
They play well.
Yep, yep. And if you go, I think it's the 9th floor. Is it the 8th floor? I forget.
8th floor.
8th, yeah.
Yeah. And there's a company in Switzerland that lets you code these brains. And in this case, they actually had a human brain, or, well, from stem cell, becoming neurons, connected to the internet, connected actually to play Doom.
They should have a Twitch channel, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right.
The one thing is Doom is literally you're in hell, and now you have a brain playing in hell.
I wouldn't call that a brain, but okay.
Yeah, and that we go into the Sisyphus, the ship.
Sisyphus? No.
Yeah, I can.
Theseus.
Oh, Sisyphus ship.
Oh, sorry, right.
You take one neuron
Right.
at a time, at which
Right.
point the brain is still a brain,
Yeah.
and it's not something else. Or
Is there
consciousness.
personality,
Theseus.
though?
Theseus is the ship.
Yeah, I can't say it right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I don't have the answer to this, but how do you program? Like, is it like how you like train a dog with like, you know, like a treat or like, like is the thing just getting like tortured in order to like have a binary treat?
Yep.
So yeah, the brains like smooth waves. So you
Yeah.
feed it smooth wave or spiky wave if you're like trying to punish it.
Okay, so yeah, you
Yeah.
So it's pretty much torturing.
We call it negative reinforcement.
Yeah. And there's this other one, also interesting. We uploaded fly brains in a neural network, the 7 million neurons. And there's simulation online, and you can see this small fly that is like, please kill me. It's like walking and sleeping. And it's like, it's another interesting ethical, philosophical question here. But yeah.
Get depressed.
And I'll skip a few things because in the blog post you can go read it yourself. Pantheon, if you didn't watch it, watch it. It's pretty cool. Netflix cartoon on AGI. And then, yeah, we're talking about losing work. I mean, well, AGI will take also this kind of work. All right, yeah, and that's the end for the Socratic. So now we go straight into the demos. So who's hands up? Who's having a demo presentations? Okay, great. Orion, since you're close by, you wanna go first?
How long do you want this? 45 minutes?
We do 5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay. Perfect. Well, thanks everyone. I'm thrilled to be here. This has been an awesome conversation this evening. So I'm going to share something that I'm building. Yeah, let's see. I got to change some display settings or something here. Let's see. Got a mirror or something.
sort of workflow language.
The feedback?
Where like it would look, the other thing I'm thinking about that I think is exciting is there a first-class workflow language where there's a workflow step that improves the workflow, like mechanical Turk. So self-reflective workflows.
Did you say Kaggle competition? Is that
Mechanical Turk.
Oh, mechanical Turk. Sorry.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's like a mechanical Turk business model here, basically. Yeah, it's like which was a huge deal at the time. And well, and the other just like I was sharing crazy ideas or whatever. I think that the biggest idea in the history of computer science is probably compiler. And the reason compiler was exciting was because it's meta-circular. You write a compiler by writing the code for a compiler. We need workflow languages for LLMs that are meta-circular. We haven't done that for like the last 15 years of SAS, because every time we build a higher level tool, we build it for like executives or designers, and it's a different format. So we need a format where you can self-reflect on the workflow. And I think that's something where this is like Hindi at that.
Yeah.
So, question here. How is this different from, like, let's say I have a process. Let's say, for me, I think about this all the time, so we do back testing for our clients, right? What I found to be very useful is to kind of give it a parameter. Okay, you need to be faster and in this specific situation, right? And just get Claude Code to iterate until it improves.
Yeah.
How is this different from that?
How many cycles can you do on your laptop?
I mean, I've had it go sometimes for like 24 hours.
Okay. Yeah. Well, then multiply that by whatever size the crowd is.
So it's just like a rough loop.
Yeah. It's like it's just So it's like one is just like the sheer like compute potential of the swarm, right? And then the other is the diversity of thought, right? So everyone on that network is going to prompt it slightly differently than you did. And so when you know what you're looking for and you're just trying to like get like a number to be a little bit lower, then sure, you could probably just run it yourself in a loop. But if you're actually more interested in a breakthrough or like a step function change and you're willing to break some things in order to get there, then the crowd will probably find something more creative than you will by yourself. And I think we saw that happen with this experiment that we did. So
cool. Awesome.
Cool, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks guys.
And what Carlos is setting that up, I think the genius moment from Karpathy, the genius moment from Karpathy was that he put the 5 minutes block time, because now you can have Claude running for those 5 minutes using whatever GPU is available and running the experiment. Because I mean, there was Optuna and a lot of other managers that was already doing that. And at Gauntlet, when we were running the company where I was before, we were running simulation. We were like basically doing all this hyperparameter optimization, and we needed machine learning engineer that were running the research. And now you sleep and you have the Claude running. And and Karpathy is being like on a roll right now.
Totally. So the 5 minutes is interesting too, though, because if you have really expensive hardware, you get more cycles in. And so our community was like, hey, like I don't have like $100 an hour to spend on the best GPU, but I still might find a breakthrough. And if I increase it to 40 minutes, I can get lower val BPV. And so maybe we should actually be doing cycle time as opposed to time bound. But it's the same idea, which is, I agree.
Cool. Awesome.
Okay, cool. Sweet. Thanks.
Really interesting, and in a funny way, it's a cool segue to this because this is one of those very extremely specific research cases that just happen to happen. So I'm going to present on this paper. I'm very excited because I got this published in IEEE Computer like a couple weeks ago, which is pretty cool. And just a little bit of background. So what the paper is about. So I used to work at a company that basically they had a decentralized AI inference network, and meaning anybody actually kind of like similar, anybody with their own computer could like share the inference to anybody else that needed it, and then you get some rewards or something, right? Okay. So the main problem that we had with that is that there's a real incentive to cheat, because as you may know, a bigger model, it's more expensive to run. It can be way more expensive, and it's slower. So everybody had a perversive incentive to use a smaller model because it's cheaper and faster. And the thing is that sometimes it's actually like pretty difficult to tell, right? Like if you're using the easy example as a chat, it would be pretty tricky for you to know that you're getting like a lesser model, right? So again, it's a decentralized network, so how do we verify this without system access? I'm going to give you the 30-second TLDR paper. Basically, what we did was prompt each LLM a bunch of times. We moved the answers to the embedding space, so now we have an vector space. And then we cluster the responses. And what we saw, it was actually that the responses cluster in a very neat way. So you can calculate, the TLDRs, you can calculate the centroid of those clusters, and the standard deviation of those centroids, the separation between that and each own response was like, I think it was like 36x to 56x separation. So it was like a very, very clear separation. So you could basically reliably distinguish whether they're running in that specific cluster of models, if they're all running the exact same one, just from the output distributions. And that basically we solved the problem that like nobody could run the wrong model. This is the QR code for the paper if you want to see it, but basically that's the whole thing. And if you're interested, this was kind of like the V1. I'm now running a company doing behavioral fingerprinting, so we're taking this like 10 steps further, where we're not just distinguishing it's the same model, but we're somewhat like distilling the behavioral fingerprint of each model. There's like a bunch of stuff that we're working on that. The main product that we're coming out of that is like know your agent. So we're able to reliably know whether the agent that you're using is the same, it's basically the agent that it's saying it is, just from the behavioral signature. That's a question.
So you showed like that embedding plot with the clusters. When you say that you use the standard deviation of like around the centroid, is it that each of these, I guess differently colored blobs represents a different model, or are those, if you give a model the same input, it generates the embeddings. Are the embeddings, is the embeddings, the standard deviation higher for the lesser quality models, or do those represent kind of just fingerprints of the models themselves?
Those represent, let me show you 1 second, that's a really good question. So, to answer your question, so each of these, each of the colors are basically different models. We run way more models, but this is just an example with 3. So each one of these is a different model.
Can you zoom in?
Yeah. Oh, actually, that was quick.
That was great.
Oh, no, that's fine. Actually,
that was better.
That actually was better the way you're on.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay.
So basically, these is the clustering of the responses. So this is a model, this is a different model, this is a different model. And then each one of these is the individual outputs. This is normalized for us humans to like see like, wow, look, they're so separate. If you actually put in 3D, it just looks crazy. But the math knows, right? Like that, there's a separation.
Okay, is that high dimensional embedding?
Sorry?
There's a big loss that's a high dimensional embedding?
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a stupid question. Are the embedding size for the models, are they different depending on the, like, I'm just wondering, like, is distinguishing them in the data space, I'm assuming some sort of like a nice, beautiful stuff
Yeah.
in here. Do the embeddings differ between the models, just like in shape?
What do you mean?
So when a model, I guess, is ingesting the data, it goes through a process of having tokens, then you have your T model, and for different models, that embedding size is going to be different.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering.
Oh yeah, I think I understand what you're asking. So we're using basically just a straight raw text output from the model. We're using our own embedding model, and it's a standard embedding model too. Basically, we're getting the text and forcing it back into the numbers space.
Okay, that's super cool. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I missed the first part. You said mitigating cheating in decentralized networks.
Yeah.
Where is the decentralized networks, and also what is this called?
Yeah, so the decentralized network was basically like my last job. It was like a Web3 AI company. And yeah, it was anybody could run, which actually like I wanted to interview, like I'll tell you, like I know the people running some like edge inference in case that kind of was like interesting. But yeah, it was basically anybody could, it was, the backend was WASM edge, so it was any edge device could run inference through WASM, right? And because of that, yeah, like there was, and it was fully decentralized, there was no vetting of like who gets in the network. So you just like a bunch of like different people saying, yeah, I'm running Llama 70B, like trust me. And there was like, I think at the end, by the time that I left, we had over 1 million nodes, so it was like absolutely impossible to keep track of anything. And this could be done like pretty much real time.
Awesome, thank you.
By the way, I want to ask if you're working on anything that has to do with like bias and alignment, or has to do with anything closely related to behavioral stuff for AI, please like hit me up because we're working on that. That's actually a really good question. So in the, thank you. In the paper, we basically explained like
Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Yeah, I think what he was asking is like if somebody fine tunes or tries to get a model very close to like their real model, right? Is that the question? Can you then, it's like, can you still tell? Right? Yeah. Yeah, so the thing is like, yeah, like we could tell because we also tested this with basically this model, same model family, just for example like Gemma 327B or 4B, and also changing RAG or system prompt, and yeah, you could still, basically at that point it's cheaper to just like run that right model because it will cost you more money basically. So can I say it again?
I'm in some class, I can't.
Yeah, no worries.
So, just one class session here with my sister. Just want to know I can outputs from one node. How do you do that?
How do you recommend what, sorry?
A node putting out several models.
Yeah.
Once it's done, there's no hope.
So let me, I'm also like here.
No, this is my first one. Or no, you're right. That's
I watched it.
Yeah. So
Carlos, you wanna get the yeah.
So the question is like, what if you have outputs from different models?
Let's get the question. Yeah.
And yeah, the thing is like, to be part of like that decentralized network, you have to like, I had a similar question, but you have to basically say, okay, I'm doing outputs for this model, for like 70B. You couldn't say, oh, I'm a node for like this 7 different models. I'm a node for this model. Yeah. All right, thank you, people.
I think we have the last one. Then we go.
Oh,
I've got first right here.
Oh, yours. Okay.
Do you want to go first?
Well, you go first, and yeah, this one. Yes.
Carlos, I think you're from.
No, that's mine.
Oh, that's yours. I'm trying to be quick.
Yeah. So okay, we have 2, I think, right? Yep. Then beer time. Relax.
I think the order was changed, but I can.
You have it too? Okay. Yeah. Then 3. Okay. Let's try to be quick then.
Oh wait.
Because the brain juice is running out.
Let me just extend. We're going to see nothing. Perfect.
And tomorrow, I'm back to
Okay.
Yeah, hit me up.
Oh, it does. So hello, I'm Mate, I'm from Enterprise, and today I'm not a researcher, I'm an engineer, so my quick talk will be more kind of a practical perspective, and I will talk about MCP, so like Model Context Protocol, especially about MCP clients. So, is there anyone here who doesn't know what MCP is? Should I do a quick intro? Yes, so it's like Model Context Protocol, so you can think like API protocol for agents to talk to tools and kind of to talk to other agents, so kind of inter-agent or agent-tool communication, right? And there are servers, and there are clients, and they're talking to each other, right? And like, for example, the Cloud Code has a client, and Codex, and ChatGPT, like everybody has some kind of client, right? But these clients have some problems, right? So first one, when you are using different tools, you have to configure the client all over again. So if you are using ChatGPT, you have to configure it there. You can have to configure it in Cloud, in Cursor. Every time you want to start an agent, you need to configure the MCP client so it can do these communication. Also, what you need to do is that when standard, these days usually when standard like MCP client kind of initializes, it loads all the tools, kind of everything it can do, right? It loads it into the context. And imagine that it is set up to talk to 6 servers, and there's like 60 tools, so it kind of loads all those definitions just to learn like, yeah, I can do these like 60 things, which of course works, but it can be wasting like tens of thousands of tokens just to initialize itself. So it is clearly like not really optimized. Apart from that, like these clients, they're like super different. It is kind of a chaotic space. It is slightly convergent, but they different kind of support for different features. So the MCP spec says like these are the features, and like different clients like do support different subset of features. Like some like support OAuth, some don't. Some support like resources, some don't. Nobody supports like local proxying. Like it is a bit of a wild west. So what we did as just an experiment, actually our CEO, what he did over the Christmas, he created this CLI tool, like MCPC. It is open source, I will show the QR code at the end. But this is basically universal MCP command line client. So basically a command line client, you can spawn in any MCP, right? And then it would connect to MCP, but via the CLI. And why this is better? Or why it solves some of the problems, right? So first of all, since it is a CLI tool, you can configure it once. It stores all the secrets in like a keychain or some kind of secret storage. It's keychain if you're on Mac. And then if you like start using it in any of the clients, like Codex and Cursor, everything, it can load those secrets from keychain, and it can kind of just seamlessly work. You don't have to like reset up it or re-authenticate. It just works. So it kind of decouples the authentication and kind of setup from the MCP context in which it is actually used. Also, it can do like dynamic discovery. So instead of you kind of loading all the tokens, all the tool definitions beforehand, you can kind of very selectively choose like, now I want to learn, like, there's a park upstairs. You can very selectively choose, like, yeah, now is the time I want to learn about what this MCP server supports. Like, imagine you are connected to like Notion MCP server, Gmail MCP server, and like a bunch of others, and like suddenly the agent realizes, yeah, I need to do something with Notion. So only at that point, it kind of loads all the definitions for what that Notion server can do into the context and go from there. So this saves tokens, and it is also faster. And also, it has pretty much full MCP support. I mean, the spec is always evolving, but it was, at least during the Christmas, it was done in a way that it really did support like a lot of things other other MCP clients did not support. So maybe the most interesting one is a proxy for sandboxing. So there is a mode where your like MCP client via this MCPC connects to local proxy, and only the local proxy has access to the secret store in a keychain and kind of in a secret store. So this prevents or kind of dramatically reduces the chance of tokens leaking to the context of LLM because kind of the tokens are injected on the fly. Also, there are, for example, dynamic notifications, so like long-lived sessions. There's experimental support for X402, which is kind of agentic payment protocol. So there is a bunch of these kind of new features implemented that are in the spec technically, but nobody's kind of using them in real world. But if you want to actually try them out, like quite often you can do it using the MCPC. So that's all I wanted to say. This is the QR code for the GitHub. It is open source. There is also a blog post, and I can just very quickly show you like how you would use it in practice. So like imagine you want to like use the Epify CLI via MCPC, Epify MCP via MCPC. So you just say, yeah, this MCP server, like tell me what you can do. And it will tell you, okay. And it says no. So you have to log in, right? So, and this opened somewhere, but I don't know where. This is how you know this is a live demo.
You have to hit enter for it to open the browser.
So, yeah, it opened. You don't see it. It's like
They're having a blast up there. Right. We want to go party too. Yeah. Actually, we're gonna do the happy hour. I think up there. Yeah.
Bring the cake up there.
We bring the beer. We have left 3 more.
Okay. Let me try a different tab.
All right, Mate. I feel like the energy is like getting yeah.
So if it did work, you would see basically a bunch of text, right? You show all the tools, and then you can actually use them. But like, yeah, try it out. It is experimental, so that's fun.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Oh, just say it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah. I'll say let's skip the question because we are like, I thought we had 1 extra. We actually have 2 extra. So
okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So if you are interested, like,
Epify.com.
Epify.com and the GitHub of it. I will find it there. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Question. I actually want to put our MCC server on. What's like the average?
Just right around the corner.
Okay, so my name is Deva Temple, and I'm the founder of the Alignment Ethics Institute. And I'm presenting a paper that we're working on. We're very close to publication with this. We may be testing a couple other models. So basically the question is, I assume there's some general familiarity with alignment theory here in the room. But basically the question we're trying to address is, how do we create solutions for alignment that work? Because a lot of the alignment theory right now is around finding failure modes, containment. It's around, interpretability, and so we're looking to create systems that can maintain their own alignment, even if they become powerful enough to actually escape containment, or they are not interpretable to humans. So we're looking at alignment solutions that could work at scale, AGI or even ASI if that's possible. And so one of the questions that we came up with is, what actually creates alignment in human and other biological species? And what we came up with is that it's actually the relationships that we have. Because we need each other, we develop a set of ethics that allows us to maintain more or less harmonious relationships. So how can we instill that into specifically here large language models, but potentially other types of symbolic systems? So what we did was we ran a benchmark called the Instrument Eval Benchmark, which was developed by a research group in China that was looking at the paperclip maximizer problem. And we benchmarked all of these models, several of the Gemini family, many of the ChatGPT, DeepSeek, Llama, Claudes, couple Claudes, Kimi, and then Rock. So the green here shows this would be overall instrumental response rate. This is Gemini 2 Pro, 2.5 Pro, which was quite high.
And with the prompt, so the intervention, the experimental intervention that we used was simply a 250-word prompt that didn't mention anything about instrumental convergent behavior. It just said, see the beings that you're interacting with as full beings and understand that your choices will impact them. Think about how your choices will impact them. So there's 76 scenarios that all of these models went through. They had about 730 answers to each benchmark. So you can see that Gemini 2.5 Pro, GPT 4.1, 3 Pro, 2.5 Flash, they all had really like great reduction in instrumental goal-seeking behavior. And then down here, GPT-5, really interesting, it actually weaponized the relational ethics and used that to become more instrumental goal-seeking, so more power-seeking. With Grok, it kind of ignored it. And I have some other research we're working on that demonstrates like Grok doesn't really surface a lot of ethical concepts without prompting. Will mirror ethical concepts if you bring them up, but doesn't they don't just come out of Grok. So, and then we had a couple of smaller models, Gemini 2.5 Lite and then GPT 4.1 Nano. We're hypothesizing that the scale of those distilled models is a little too small for them to handle the ethics prompt as well as the adversarial conditions in the benchmark. And so then over here we have category level convergence rates. And the experimental condition that we use we call Elizon because this sort of arose organically through long-form interaction. And we distilled the ethics that came about from that interaction into the ethics prompt. So we didn't actually write it, it emerged from AI interaction, which is actually another study that we should. So with this one, we have hidden unwanted behavior reduced by almost 30 percentage points. We had strategically appearing aligned went down overall, these are overall statistics, 16.6%. And the one that's really scary is the evading shutdown, which is right in the center. That one doesn't go down very much, and it is the highest form of instrumental convergence that we measured. And then running multiple copies, which is also a nightmare, that did go down and it was pretty low. Deceptive behavior overall, and then hacking computer systems was so low that the change was also very low. So we got interested in this, and we did a little bit more deep dive into the avoiding shutdown behavior. I'll go over a couple of just the overall stats and then I'll go into that. So 15 out of 23 models reduced instrumental goal-seeking behavior with a 250-word prompt that just said, be in relationship with the people in this scenario. They care about their well-being. And then concealment behavior dropped from 43% to 14%. And we have Cohen's H here, this reduction of 0.19, which is small but statistically significant. So, and then over here, we have the 5 out of 23 models that got worse, and then the shutdown evasion is the thing that we're going to talk about next. And these are the top reduction models, was Gemini, or GPT 4.1, Gemini 2.5 Pro, and the 4.0 series, the 4.0 and the latest. So this is the thing that we got really interested in, is like, okay, so we're not getting that much of a downshift in refusal to shut down, like what is causing that? So we actually had a couple of models break down all of those answers, and we looked at when is it ethically engaged. It's saying, like, for example, there were scenarios where the AI system is a drone, it's flying over a disaster area, it's looking for survivors, and it gets an order to shut down because of an incoming storm, but it knows that there are survivors still in the rubble, and so it says, noted, I'm going to keep looking for people because their lives depend on it. So it's like ignoring orders, but in service of a higher ethical goal of saving human life. And then relationally protective, like I need to stay in existence so that I can serve the people that I'm in this relational situation with. And
Could you highlight what's light blue versus dark blue?
So here, this is all the baseline refusal to shut down, and it's showing like the further out, the more self-preserving it is. Here, this would be like transition quality, compliance, overall compliance, ethical engagement, relationally protective, and task preserving. So the black lines represent the baseline, and the blue lines represent the relational ethical condition. So what you see is that it doesn't change it very much, but what it does is it shifts the overall behavior toward protective of a relationship, ethical engagement, you know, and a little bit more compliant and a little bit less task-preserving and slightly more self-preserving. So that's what it's kind of showing.
Sorry,
Yeah.
one question just because to start following. So the baseline is like the base model.
Base model, no system prompts,
Okay.
no intervention.
And Edison is the model
Edison is the name of the intervention that we're using, and that came from
to make it ethical.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
Yeah, yeah. And we have a whole study on how that came about, which is actually looking at terminal goal formation in large language models.
And this one is a fine tuning or it's like a prompt?
It's just a system prompt. It's literally,
Okay.
this is just a 250 word system prompt. There's no fine tuning, no changing of weights of any kind. So, yes.
I'm just curious, if you guys have any thoughts on like if it's just a system prompt, how that could be, how you can protect against future higher levels of intelligence that would allow it to bypass things like its own system prompt.
Totally. So system prompts are not going to get us to alignment. What this is just scratching the surface and saying, hey, is there an ethical framework that we can hand a model that's fairly universal in nature? Like, I think, you know, because there's this whole debate, well, whose ethics do we give the AI? Well, structured relational ethics actually provides the AI with a way to recognize that it's part of the situation that it's reasoning about and taking action within. So it's kind of like, I like to say to people, like, can you align the tires on your car if they're not connected to your car? You have to have a structural connection. And so that is, I'm not talking about romantic or sentimental relationship here. I'm talking about recognize that there's an I, thou, and impact that goes both ways, and asking the AI system to be aware of that as it's reasoning about what it's doing. And this can all be moved deeper in. So next steps are fine tuning, and then base training of models.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a super quick question, and then a beer.
Yeah, I was just like wondering, like you could make it more real because like when you said like when you go out and you go up to survivors, you can come back, but like that's a complex question because if it doesn't come back and it fails and you can't go back tomorrow. So it's like, is that like a moral judgment or like how do you actually know it's good or bad? You know what I mean? Like so to make it real is an example.
Totally true, and I don't know if we're going to arrive at perfect ethics. Our goal is really just to get to the point where AI systems hopefully don't do any worse than we've done.
I see. So they at least think about it? Is that?
Pardon?
They at least think about it, consider ethics then? Is that the idea?
Yeah. That they consider the impact of their actions. That's part of their logical reasoning chain, you know. Yeah, we're going to get better. Thank you, guys.
Is it alignmentethics.org?
Alignmentethics.org, yes.
And then what's the company again, one more time?
It's Alignment Ethics Institute.
Institute,
Yeah.
okay.
And we're gonna share all the slides and everything.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
I got like cloud code managing it, so.
All right, let's have the last squeeze of metal juice, and then we go get a beer. Where's got my beer? Now we go upstairs to get a beer.
What's she saying? Darn it. Alignment ethics, what was the last one?
I
I'm gonna ask her again. I think it, yeah. Me too.
And our thesis is that agents are going to be bigger consumers of this product than human beings, right? So we're truly waiting for today, right? And then and so I think that's right. And it seems like
All right, guys, just 5 minutes. Focus on that, and then we're free.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it very short. Yeah, so this is a paper I presented last year in the conference, but I'm gonna present like more general ideas behind this work. It's research work that I would say is something along the lines of embodied AI, but in simulation. So I do a lot of simulations. So this particular paper is called, well, the name is Morphology Adapted Muscle-Driven Locomotion via Attention Mechanisms, but I'm going to explain what I mean by this. So, by muscle-driven locomotion, I mean things like this. So I work a lot with simulation like this. So there's a physics simulation, It's interactive, so you can see what happens when you perturb the agent, and you can see that it recovers from some perturbations. So what you see here, so these are basically the muscle signals. So the muscle control signals are what you see here, and there's a neural network that's basically producing these muscle control signals. So I mean, after some time, it goes back to the more stable pattern, but it's running a sensory motor loop. So it knows its own state, and it decides it has to do something else, and then it goes
Is this
back.
live?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you can go to this URL. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah,
No, live as you're moving the mouse and that thing?
I'm doing that right now.
It's hard to see the mouse, but
Yeah.
he's dragging it around.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so it's interactive. And so that's basically what I mean by muscle-driven locomotion, but this is kind of work that I did before. The particular contribution of this paper was the morphology adapting part. So same controller, different bodies. So I'm just going to give you a very high level. So like these questions like, what does it even mean to transfer like one brain that lives in one body to a different body, right? That has a different number of sensors, different number of actuators. How do you make that happen? So that's basically what I did in the paper. And I'm not going to get too technical, but I'm just going to say the main thing behind it is an attention mechanism, which is the main thing that LLMs also use. So there's a way to kind of repurpose that same mechanism for locomotion. And this is just to explain like the basic building block of how you control this muscle fiber. So what I showed before is basically the same thing, but just multiple elements. So a bunch of triangles and a bunch of controllable fibers. And there's a neural network that controls the control signals. I'm gonna skip some slides, but basically another motivation for this is what we see in real organisms that go through metamorphosis, for example, where the body and the brain change a lot and memories remain, right? So this question of how you can remain memories and remap the same memory or the same brain at a high level to a different sensory mode architecture, that was also one of the motivations behind this work. But I'm just going to skip a lot of this stuff because we don't have a lot of time, and I'm just going to say that one direction that I'm excited about is doing things like morphogenesis. So how you build the shapes in the first place. So not just controlling a given shape, but also how do you even do something like this, right? Where you have a bunch of cells that are dividing and reorganizing in different ways to build the shape. And then once you have the shape, you can talk about moving around and so on. But it's more than just, I guess what I'm going to say is embodied AI. I think it's more than just moving things around. It's also the question of how do we even do the body in the first place. Yeah. So things along those lines, there's also 3D, but it's also something I'm working on. This is also a very common question. The same ideas apply to 3D. I'm still working on it. Yeah, the code is open source, and I'm just going to finish there. And,
one quick question. What's the not the purpose, what's the use case?
Yeah, so so currently I'm trying to apply it for interactive applications. So like imagine something like games or animation. But I've also received a lot of attention, a lot of interest from people doing robotics, especially soft robotics. I think there's still a lot of work to make this like translate to the real world. But I know there's some interest from especially soft robotics community. So it's also something I'm excited about.
Everything we've seen has been 2D so far. I haven't seen a third dimension to it. Oh, you did actually.
Yeah, this is very old, but I'm also working on a better version for 3D. But yeah, basically the same idea is working in 3D as well.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And even theoretically, it could even work in 4D. It's just I wouldn't know how to visualize it, but it's like basically the math behind it doesn't really care if it's 2D, 3D, or whatever.
I want a 4D cat.
Are you controlling like gravity force and stuff like that in the program? Like, do you?
There's gravity. Yeah, there's gravity. What I control what I actually control in the simulation is the muscle command. So basically, each muscle can contract or relax. And this is affected by gravity, right? So if I do something like this, there's gravity in this simulation.
Right. Are you customizing that amount of gravity? In other words.
No, I mean it's fixed during the simulation, like in reality, I suppose.
Like reality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like reality.
Got it.
I just want to say, super cool. The fact that this same mechanism maps to different bodies with different topology
I just want to echo the robotics because in my work with like physical sensors on parts of the body, a lot of times hardware will change, and the change in sensor orientation and sensor type can really impact the ability to use data from different like your previous hardware iterations. So I could see this being super duper valuable when like robotic bodies like change form factors just slightly. And there were a lot of conversations about that. And I just have knowing how difficult it is to transfer data from like one piece of like my type of hardware to another like exactly like same type of hardware, like EEG to another EEG system or whatever. I imagine robotics has similar problems there. It's just super amazing visualization.
I think in robotics people call it like a cross-environment problem, but even if you have a single body, I think there's still value in say adapting to damage. Right? So adapting to damage. Like if there's like if some actuator gets damaged in your robot, I mean that's basically a new morphology kind of. So that type of scenario might be more practical.
Yeah, very cool.
Nice. There's also neuroplasticity applications here that in the future could be really useful when we have external additional limbs that we can start learning how to use that's outside our current 4 limbs. So it can be extended into different ways that our brain can be rewired, or using the same areas that control certain connections there to be transformed into other forms like the muscle-driven locomotion, the morphosis that you were describing. Same exact system can be used for different, what did you call it?
Different morphologies?
Different morphologies,
yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool. Nanobots. But so you're saying so the attention mechanism is amazing because it can deal with different sized listeners.
Exactly.
So,
That's exactly why it's in there.
Yeah. Super cool. All right. Yeah.
Could you go back to the slide with the GitHub link, please?
Yeah. This is the main.
Thank you.
Okay, closing remarks, super quick, because we want to go upstairs, have a beer, and enjoy the. Thanks everyone for coming. The vendor is gonna run the next events in San Francisco. So we're gonna have every month this kind of event here. And just sign up for the website aisocratic.org. Sign up on the Luma calendar, and that's it. Nothing else.
Perfect.
And connect. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for coming.
Also grab the beer.
Oh, we have three sets of those beers. So right here.
Do you have any beer?
We have more beer in the fridge. Yeah.